When it comes to application, calibration ensures the correct amount of pesticide is applied to the target area according to the product label. Applying too much spray costs money and can contaminate the environment. Too little can mean an ineffective treatment, callbacks and unhappy customers. This applies to both general pest and termite treatments.
Now, why do we need to calibrate our equipment? Well, first off, many of the nozzles and tips that you're using have a defined amount of chemical that needs to come out of that product over a certain period of time.
Calibration is important so that we know how much chemical we're delivering through our application equipment into the soil at any point in time for a treatment. So particularly when it comes to drilling holes in concrete, we need to work out how much chemical we need to deliver per linear metre of soil we're treating, and then divide that by our drill spacings.
Calibration ensures you know the amount you are delivering at the nozzle from your equipment setup. To calibrate equipment, you will need the chemical label and rate for the pest you are controlling, clean water in your tank, a measuring jug or container to collect spray, and a timer. We're using the timer on our phone. Once you have assembled your calibration tools, check the pesticide label for the recommended spray volume. This label we are using as an example for Temperate 75 insecticide indicates 1 litre of spray applied to 20 metres squared. But always check the label of the product you plan to use. Run your sprayer at the correct pressure. Measure the amount of water that comes out of the nozzle in 1 minute. If the output is different from the label, adjust the pump pressure or the speed at which you apply treatment until the correct output is reached.
For example, a backyard treatment, if you're doing for ants or fleas, you can measure up that backyard, and as an example, if it was going to take a minute to spray 1 litre of chemical based on your calibration, then you would know that a 100 metre square area should take you 100 minutes.
Let's demonstrate that in a simple graphic. The backyard we have measured as 10 by 10 metres, which is 100 square metres. In our example here, our fictitious label rate recommends we spray 1 litre of mix per square metre. We have calibrated our equipment and our setup confirms we are delivering 1 litre of spray mix per minute. In our example, that means when we are applying 1 litre per minute to a square metre, it should take us 100 minutes to spray all 100 square metres. But is calibration important too for trench and under slab termite treatments? Our calculation is for demo purposes only. Always check the label of the product you're using for the correct application rates.
So the calibration test allows us to demonstrate that effectively for the equipment that we've got on the actual day, because every setup's going to be different, depending on the length of the hose, the diameter of the hose, the application equipment, the pressure of the pump. All those things influence the amount of liquid that's going to be delivered at the end of the nozzle.
And following label rates is key to avoiding the risks of over-applying or under-applying chemicals. Whether applying termiticide to trenches below the footing or applying under slab, calibrating equipment for termiticide treatment is critical for delivering the right amount of spray.
So if we've got 4 drill spacings per linear metre and we want to apply 8 litres, for instance, just as a throwaway, to that linear metre of soil, then we're going to have to deliver 2 litres of liquid per hole. So it's important for us to know, if we don't have a flow meter, how long we have to apply that liquid application for to get that 2 litres into the soil, because we can't see it happening.
This calculation is for demo purposes only. Always check the label of the product you're using for the correct application rates and hole spacing.
One of the things that we always profess, particularly in the training world, is that you follow label rates. Very important. So different chemicals will have different label rates, so it's important that we keep reading those different instructions that come along, and it's relative to the application equipment that we're using.
So the recommendation with calibrating your equipment is obviously the first time you get the equipment, you should be calibrating it to make sure that it's working correctly. And then with your general pest equipment, we recommend every couple of weeks to a month, just make sure your equipment is still calibrated correctly, the tips are calibrated correctly. With your termite work though, we would encourage you to, before every termite job, to make sure your equipment is calibrated.